The night is quiet. A soft wind moves through the darkness, carrying the faint smell of damp earth and distant smoke. Somewhere beyond the sleeping fields, water slips gently along the banks of a slow river. A few stars remain visible above the rooftops, shining through a thin layer of drifting cloud. Most homes are dark now. Candles have burned low. Fires have settled into beds of glowing embers. The long work of the day is finally finished, and tired bodies rest beneath blankets and simple sheets. Tonight, as the world grows still, we travel not to a palace or a battlefield, but to a place much closer to everyday life. We step quietly into Victorian Britain. A world of narrow streets and brick houses. A world of factories, workshops, schools, farms, and crowded neighborhoods. A world where childhood existed, but often looked very different from what many people imagine today. The children of the Victorian age were not always expected to spend their days playing. Many lived in a society that believed hardship built character. Work was praised. Obedience was praised. Endurance was praised. Growing up was rarely easy. And for many children, that difficulty was not considered unfortunate. It was often considered necessary. So settle comfortably. Allow the sounds of the modern world to fade into the distance. Listen to the gentle rhythm of another time. And let us walk slowly into the long, quiet story of how Victorian childhood was designed to be hard. The first light of morning appears slowly over rows of brick homes. The streets are damp from overnight rain. Thin wisps of smoke begin rising from chimneys as families prepare for another day. Inside one small house, a child opens tired eyes. The room is cold. There may be several brothers and sisters sharing the same space. Beds are narrow. Blankets are thin. The floorboards creak softly whenever someone moves. The child does not remain in bed for long. Victorian life valued discipline. Many families believed that sleeping late encouraged laziness. Rising early showed good character. So the day begins. Clothes are put on quickly. Water for washing may be cold. Breakfast is simple. Perhaps bread. Perhaps porridge. Perhaps only tea and a small piece of food if money is limited. The meal is eaten quietly. There is little time to linger. The rhythm of Victorian life moves steadily forward. Adults must reach factories, workshops, shops, and offices. Children must prepare for school or work. The streets outside gradually fill with movement. Footsteps echo across stone. Horse carts rattle over uneven roads. Shopkeepers unlock doors. Workers hurry through morning fog. The city awakens. For children, the expectations of the Victorian age begin almost immediately. From a very young age, boys and girls are taught that they have responsibilities. Adults often speak of duty. Duty to family. Duty to work. Duty to God. Duty to society. These ideas appear again and again throughout Victorian life. A child is not simply expected to be happy. A child is expected to become useful. This belief shapes nearly everything. Parents, teachers, employers, ministers, and community leaders often share the same general view. Life is difficult. The world is demanding. Therefore, children must learn strength as early as possible. And so many parts of childhood become lessons in endurance. Even wealthy children experience this in certain ways. A child growing up in a large house may sleep in a comfortable room and eat excellent meals. Yet strict schedules still govern daily life. Lessons begin early. Rules are carefully enforced. Good manners are constantly practiced. Posture is corrected. Speech is monitored. Behavior is observed. Children are often reminded that self-control matters more than comfort. A governess may oversee lessons throughout the day. Reading, writing, arithmetic, history, languages, music. Every hour has purpose. Every activity is expected to improve character. Even recreation may be carefully supervised. Victorian adults often worry that too much pleasure could weaken discipline. As a result, childhood can feel highly structured. The goal is not simply enjoyment. The goal is preparation. Preparation for adulthood. Preparation for responsibility. Preparation for a demanding world. Meanwhile, for working-class children, the experience can be even harder. Many live in crowded neighborhoods where families share small homes. Several people may sleep in a single room. Privacy is rare. Space is limited. Noise fills the streets from morning until night. The air may carry smoke from nearby factories. Clothing is worn repeatedly because replacing it costs money. Every possession matters. Nothing is wasted. Children learn this lesson early. A torn shirt is repaired. Old shoes are patched. Food scraps are saved. Household budgets are stretched carefully. Every coin has value. In such homes, childhood and responsibility often blend together. Even young children contribute in small ways. They fetch water, carry coal, watch younger siblings, run errands, help prepare meals, clean rooms, assist wherever possible. These tasks may seem ordinary. Yet together they create a childhood shaped by constant obligation. The idea of simply being carefree does not always fit comfortably into Victorian daily life. There is always something that needs attention. Something that needs fixing. Something that needs carrying. Something that needs cleaning. And so children become accustomed to helping. As the morning grows brighter, schools begin to fill. Rows of children enter classrooms. Wooden desks line the room. Large windows admit pale daylight. A teacher stands at the front. Education expands significantly during the Victorian period. Many reformers believe schooling can improve society. Literacy becomes increasingly important. Reading and writing are viewed as essential skills. Yet Victorian education is often strict. Silence is valued. Order is valued. Attention is valued. Lessons are memorized. Facts are repeated. Mistakes may bring embarrassment. Sometimes punishment. Teachers frequently manage large numbers of students. Maintaining discipline becomes a major concern. Children sit upright. Hands remain still. Eyes remain forward. The classroom reflects many of the same values found throughout society. Discipline, self-control, persistence, patience. The belief that growth comes through effort. Hours pass slowly. Pens scratch against paper. Voices recite lessons together. Outside the windows, clouds drift across the sky. Inside, children continue learning. Not every child enjoys school. Not every child dislikes it. Experiences vary greatly. Yet one theme appears again and again. Education is rarely presented as entertainment. It is presented as work. Useful work. Necessary work. Character-building work. And this attitude reaches far beyond the classroom. Throughout Victorian society, many adults genuinely believe that hardship helps shape good people. The idea appears in books, sermons, newspapers, Family conversations. Hard work is praised almost everywhere. Comfort is often treated with suspicion. Too much ease is believed to encourage weakness. Too much leisure is believed to invite trouble. As a result, children frequently receive messages encouraging perseverance. If something is difficult, continue. If something is tiring, continue. If something is unpleasant, continue. The lesson remains consistent. Endurance matters. By midday, the streets outside become busier. Factory whistles sound. Workers move between tasks. Merchants serve customers. Deliveries arrive. The machinery of Victorian life continues turning. For some children, however, the day is not centered on school. It is centered on labor. Victorian child labor existed in many forms. Not every child worked. Not every workplace was identical. But many young people contributed to the economy in significant ways. Some assist in factories. Some work in workshops. Some help on farms. Others carry messages, sell goods, clean equipment, or support family businesses. Their days begin early. Sometimes very early. The work may involve long hours. Repetitive tasks. Constant standing. Physical exhaustion. Many adults view this labor as normal. A necessary part of life. An opportunity to learn responsibility. Yet for children, the experience can be demanding. Imagine a young worker walking through cold morning streets before sunrise. The sky is still dark. Gas lamps flicker softly. Footsteps echo across wet pavement. The child joins a stream of workers heading toward a factory. Smoke drifts upward from tall chimneys. Large buildings emerge through the morning mist. The workday begins. Hours stretch ahead. Machines move steadily. Belts turn. Wheels spin. Voices blend with mechanical sounds. The child performs the same task repeatedly. Again and again. Minute after minute. Hour after hour. Outside, sunlight crosses the sky. Inside, work continues. Victorian society often accepts these conditions because work itself is highly respected. Many adults believe employment teaches discipline, teaches obedience, teaches perseverance. The hardship is seen as educational. Part of growing up. Part of becoming useful. Part of becoming respectable. As afternoon arrives, the city settles into its familiar rhythm. Shop bells ring. Carts continue rolling through narrow streets. Dogs wander beside buildings. Laundry hangs between windows. The ordinary details of Victorian life continue without hurry. Children move through this landscape carrying expectations that seem heavy even by adult standards. They are expected to learn. Expected to obey. Expected to improve themselves. Expected to contribute. Expected to prepare for future responsibilities. The language of childhood often sounds remarkably serious. Books written for young readers frequently contain moral lessons. Stories encourage honesty, industry, self-discipline, respect, self-sacrifice. Characters who work hard are rewarded. Characters who behave selfishly often learn difficult lessons. Many adults hope literature will help shape children's behavior. Even leisure becomes another opportunity for instruction. The Victorian world constantly seeks to teach. Every experience carries a lesson. Every challenge carries a purpose. Every hardship becomes a test of character. As evening approaches, lamps begin glowing behind windows. Families return home. Factories release workers. Schools empty. The pace of the day slowly softens. Yet exhaustion often accompanies the journey home. Children who have spent hours studying feel tired. Children who have spent hours working feel tired. Parents feel tired too. The Victorian day can be long. Meals are prepared. Simple conversations take place around tables. The smell of cooked food fills small rooms. Bread, soup, potatoes, stew. The exact meal depends greatly on income, location, and circumstance. Yet almost everywhere, food represents comfort after labor. A pause before sleep. A brief moment of warmth. Children sit beside parents and siblings. The family gathers. For a little while, work pauses. Responsibilities loosen slightly. The day begins to settle. Outside, darkness gradually spreads across rooftops. Street lamps glow softly. Horse hooves grow less frequent. Shops close one by one. The city exhales. Inside many homes, children prepare for bed. Tomorrow will arrive early. Another day of school. Another day of work. Another day of duties. The cycle continues. And as Victorian society moves steadily through the decades, these expectations remain deeply rooted. Childhood is rarely imagined as a protected world entirely separate from adulthood. Instead, it is often viewed as preparation, training, practice, a gradual introduction to responsibility. The goal is not comfort. The goal is readiness. And in countless homes across Britain, children grow up surrounded by this philosophy. Night settles fully now. The streets grow quieter. Windows darken one after another. The sounds of the city drift into the distance. Somewhere a final cart rolls slowly down a road. A door closes. A candle flickers. A child, exhausted from the long day, closes tired eyes. Tomorrow will bring another morning. Another lesson. Another responsibility. Another small step toward adulthood. And as sleep gently arrives across the Victorian landscape, the world remains shaped by the belief that hardship has value. That discipline creates strength. That effort creates character. And that childhood itself is meant to prepare young hearts and minds for a demanding life that waits just beyond the horizon. The night deepens. The wind moves softly between chimneys. And our quiet journey through Victorian childhood continues. The night passes slowly over rows of rooftops. Moonlight fades from the windows of sleeping houses, and the darkness begins to loosen its hold on the streets. A pale gray glow gathers along the horizon. Chimneys stand quietly against the brightening sky. The city has not fully awakened yet, but signs of movement are beginning to appear. Somewhere in a narrow room, a child stirs beneath a blanket. The room is cool. The air carries the faint scent of coal smoke that has settled over the neighborhood during the night. A clock ticks softly. Footsteps sound from another part of the house. The day is beginning once again. For many Victorian children, mornings arrive with little choice. Schedules are not flexible. The family depends on routine. Workplaces depend on routine. Schools depend on routine. The entire society seems to move according to clocks and expectations. A child learns this rhythm early. The morning meal is prepared. Water is carried. Clothing is straightened. Beds are arranged. Small tasks appear before breakfast has even finished. No one thinks of these duties as unusual. They are simply part of life. Many parents believe that children should become familiar with responsibility from the earliest years. A child who contributes to the household is often praised. A child who complains too much may be reminded that everyone has obligations. This attitude appears again and again throughout Victorian life. Adults often speak of usefulness. Being useful becomes a kind of virtue. A useful child helps the family. A useful child learns practical skills. A useful child prepares for the future. The idea seems simple, yet it shapes daily life in countless ways. As daylight spreads across the city, children step into the streets. Some head toward school buildings. Others walk beside parents toward workshops or markets. Some travel alone. The roads are already busy. Milk carts move through neighborhoods. Vendors prepare their stalls. Factory workers stream steadily through the morning mist. The sound of iron wheels echoes against stone roads. In wealthier districts, the streets look different. Large houses stand behind neat fences. Servants begin their daily work. Gardens are carefully maintained. Yet even here, childhood often follows strict rules. Victorian upper-class families usually expect excellent behavior. Children may spend much of their day under the supervision of governesses, tutors, or nurses. Adults monitor posture, speech, manners, habits. The smallest details sometimes matter. How a child sits at a table. How a child greets visitors. How a child holds a book. These lessons are repeated patiently and frequently. The goal is not merely knowledge. The goal is refinement. Children are being shaped into future ladies and gentlemen. Their behavior reflects upon the family. Because of this, expectations remain high. A young boy might spend hours studying Latin, mathematics, history, and literature. A young girl may receive lessons in reading, writing, music, languages, and household management. Each family follows its own approach, yet discipline remains a common thread. Many adults sincerely believe that a child benefits from structure. Freedom is often considered less important than guidance. The Victorian world trusts rules. Rules create order. Order creates discipline. Discipline creates character. At least, that is what many people believe. Far from these comfortable homes, another childhood unfolds in crowded industrial neighborhoods. The contrast can be striking. Rows of brick buildings stretch along narrow streets. Laundry hangs between windows. Smoke drifts from factory chimneys. The air carries the scent of coal, damp stone, and busy lives. Children here often learn independence quickly. Space is limited. Resources are limited. Time is limited. Parents may work long hours. Older siblings help care for younger ones. Every member of the household contributes where possible. A girl may spend part of her day helping prepare meals. A boy may carry supplies for a family business. Both may perform errands that take them across busy streets filled with carts and pedestrians. These responsibilities become ordinary. They do not feel exceptional because nearly everyone nearby is doing something similar. The neighborhood itself becomes a place of constant activity. Doors open and close. Voices drip from windows. Shopkeepers sweep their entrances. Workers move in steady streams. Life feels busy from dawn until evening. Children grow up surrounded by this motion. And in many ways, they become part of it. As the morning continues, let us step quietly into a Victorian classroom. The room smells faintly of ink and wood. Sunlight falls through tall windows. Rows of students sit at desks. The teacher stands near a blackboard. Lessons are underway. Victorian education can be demanding. Memorization plays an important role. Students recite information aloud. They repeat facts until they are remembered. Accuracy matters. Attention matters. Effort matters. The teacher often manages many students at once. Maintaining order is essential. A classroom filled with dozens of children can quickly become noisy. As a result, discipline remains strict. Children are expected to listen carefully. Interruptions are discouraged. Mistakes may be corrected immediately. The atmosphere is serious. Learning is viewed as preparation for life. Not entertainment. Not distraction. Preparation. The idea appears once again. Everything seems connected to preparation. The future occupies the minds of Victorian adults. A child must be ready. Ready for work. Ready for responsibility. Ready for adulthood. The years of childhood are often viewed as training years. A period when habits are formed. A period when character takes shape. This belief influences nearly every institution. Families. Schools. Churches. Workplaces. The message remains remarkably consistent. Work hard. Behave properly. Endure difficulties. Improve yourself. As the hours pass, some children grow restless. The afternoon sunlight warms the classroom. The room becomes stuffy. Pens continue scratching across paper. Voices continue reciting lessons. Outside, birds move through the sky. Inside, concentration remains the expectation. Eventually lessons end. Students gather their belongings. Doors open. The children spill back into the streets. For a brief moment, there is freedom. Friends walk together. Conversations begin. Laughter appears. The serious atmosphere of the classroom softens. Yet many children still have responsibilities waiting at home. The work of the day is not necessarily finished. In Victorian households, chores occupy a significant place in daily life. Water may need carrying. Floors may need sweeping. Coal may need bringing inside. Younger siblings may require supervision. Meals require preparation. Clothing requires mending. The household itself demands constant attention. Modern conveniences do not exist. Simple tasks often take considerable time. Keeping a home functioning requires effort from everyone. Children learn this reality early. A young girl might spend part of the evening helping her mother prepare supper. She peels vegetables, sets dishes, fetches ingredients, observes recipes that have been passed down through generations. These moments can be quiet, comforting, even. The warmth of the kitchen contrasts with the cold streets outside. Steam rises from cooking pots. Firelight flickers softly. Family members move about familiar routines. A young boy may assist with errands. Perhaps he collects supplies from a nearby shop. Perhaps he helps clean tools. Perhaps he performs small tasks for a parent returning from work. Again, these responsibilities seem ordinary. They blend naturally into daily life. Victorian childhood often contains fewer clear boundaries between childhood and adulthood than people might expect. Children are not isolated from the practical realities of life. They witness work closely. They participate in work. They understand that households survive through effort. This understanding becomes part of their identity. As evening approaches, many families gather for supper. The meal may be simple. Bread, potatoes, vegetables. Perhaps meat if circumstances allow. The exact menu varies widely depending on income and location. Yet across social classes, meals often serve as moments of connection. The family sits together. Stories from the day are exchanged. Children listen to conversations about work, finances, neighbors, and community events. These discussions provide another kind of education. Not formal education. Life education. Children absorb the concerns of adults. They learn what matters. They learn what worries families. They learn what responsibilities await them someday. The Victorian home often serves as a classroom in its own way. Lessons emerge from daily life. Lessons about thrift, patience, respect, duty. The values appear repeatedly. Not because people are constantly lecturing children, but because those values are woven into everyday routines. A child sees them everywhere. In the long hours worked by a parent. In the careful repair of worn clothing. In the saving of leftover food. In the effort required to maintain a household. Actions teach as much as words. Sometimes more. As darkness begins to gather outside, another important part of Victorian childhood comes into focus. Religion. For many families, religious belief plays a central role in daily life. Church attendance is common. Prayer is common. Religious instruction often forms part of a child's education. Moral lessons are closely connected to spiritual teachings. Children hear stories about virtue, honesty, kindness, humility, self-control. Many adults believe these qualities are essential for a good life. Religious institutions frequently reinforce the same values already present elsewhere in Victorian society. Duty, discipline, responsibility. The themes echo one another. A child grows up hearing them from multiple directions. At home, at school, at church, in books, in conversation. The message becomes familiar. Character matters. Character matters deeply. As the evening grows later, homes become quieter. Candles burn steadily. Books may be read aloud. Needlework may continue beside the fire. Children finish remaining tasks. One by one, family members prepare for sleep. The long day begins to settle. Yet even rest reflects Victorian attitudes toward discipline. Bedtimes are often structured. Schedules remain important. Tomorrow's responsibilities are already waiting. Another school day. Another work day. Another sequence of duties. The cycle continues. For many children, this rhythm lasts throughout the years of growing up. The expectations rarely disappear. Instead, they gradually increase. As children become older, responsibilities become larger. Work becomes more serious. Education becomes more demanding. Society expects increasing maturity. The transition toward adulthood begins long before adulthood officially arrives. And because of this, Victorian childhood can sometimes feel surprisingly brief. There is little sense of postponing responsibility until later years. Responsibility arrives early. It grows steadily. It becomes part of everyday life. Outside, the city quiets. Factory chimneys release their final smoke into the night sky. Street lamps glow along damp roads. The sounds of commerce fade. Only occasional footsteps remain. Inside homes, children drift toward sleep. Some sleep in crowded rooms shared with siblings. Some sleep beneath fine blankets in large houses. The circumstances differ greatly. Yet many share something in common. Tomorrow will bring expectations, lessons to learn, tasks to complete, rules to follow, responsibilities to meet. Victorian society places great faith in these expectations. Many adults truly believe they are preparing children for successful lives. Whether through school, work, religion, or household duties, childhood is carefully shaped toward a particular goal. Strength of character, self-discipline, reliability, endurance. The qualities most admired by the age. The wind moves softly outside. Clouds drift across the moon. The streets grow still. And as another Victorian night settles gently over the sleeping city, countless children rest beneath its quiet darkness, gathering strength for another day in a world that asks much of them, even while they are still young. The hours of darkness move gently across the sleeping city. A thin layer of fog settles over rooftops and chimney pots. The streets are quiet now. Most windows have gone dark. The sound of wheels and footsteps has faded into the distance. Only a few lamps remain awake. Their soft glow stretches across damp stone roads and narrow alleyways. Inside thousands of homes, children sleep. Some dream beneath patched blankets in crowded rooms. Others rest in carefully furnished bedrooms with polished furniture and thick curtains. The differences between their lives are great. Yet morning will arrive for all of them. And with morning comes another day shaped by expectation. The Victorian world places enormous importance on habits. Adults often believe that the smallest daily actions help shape a person's future. A child who rises promptly is praised. A child who speaks politely is praised. A child who completes duties without complaint is praised. Good habits are treated almost like treasures. Something valuable. Something that must be built slowly through repetition. This belief influences nearly every part of childhood. A Victorian parent may not think only about what a child does today. Instead, they think about the adult that child will become many years from now. Every lesson becomes part of that future. Every chore. Every school assignment. Every correction. Every responsibility. The child is being prepared. The word appears again and again throughout Victorian life. Prepared for adulthood. Prepared for work. Prepared for society. Prepared for a future that is expected to demand patience and endurance. As dawn slowly returns, the city begins another cycle. The first signs of movement appear before sunrise. A baker lights an oven. A milk cart starts its route. Workers begin walking through mist-covered streets. The day gathers momentum gradually. Inside one small house, a young girl wakes to the familiar sound of activity downstairs. The floor beneath her feet is cool. The room is dim. She dresses quickly. There is work to do. Perhaps she helps prepare breakfast. Perhaps she assists with younger siblings. Perhaps she tidies rooms before school. The exact details vary from household to household. Yet the expectation remains similar. Children contribute. Children help. Children learn through participation. Many Victorian parents see these duties as essential. Not punishments. Not burdens. Lessons. Practical lessons about responsibility. The household itself becomes a training ground. A place where future adults are gradually shaped. Meanwhile, across town, another child begins his day in a very different environment. He lives on a farm. The countryside offers wider spaces than the crowded city. Fields stretch toward the horizon. Trees sway gently in the morning breeze. Birdsong fills the air. Yet rural childhood is not necessarily easier. Farm life depends on labor. Animals must be fed. Water must be carried. Fences must be repaired. Fields require constant attention. Every season brings different tasks. Children often assist from a young age. Their help may seem small at first. Collecting eggs. Gathering firewood. Watching animals. Carrying supplies. But as they grow older, responsibilities increase. The farm depends upon many hands. Every member of the family contributes. The rhythm of nature shapes daily life. Summer brings long days. Winter brings cold mornings. Rain changes schedules. Harvest season creates urgency. Children become familiar with these patterns. The land teaches patience. The land teaches endurance. The land teaches routine. These lessons fit comfortably within broader Victorian values. Hard work is admired. Reliability is admired. Steady effort is admired. The countryside and the city may look very different, yet many of the same expectations appear in both places. As morning sunlight spreads across Britain, schools begin filling once more. Children enter classrooms carrying books and slates. The atmosphere remains serious. Education is becoming increasingly important throughout the Victorian period. Many people believe learning offers opportunities for improvement. Literacy opens doors. Knowledge creates possibilities. Parents who have received little education themselves often hope their children will learn more than they did. Yet learning still requires discipline. The school day follows strict routines. Lessons begin at specific times. Students sit in orderly rows. Teachers monitor progress carefully. Children memorize facts. Practice handwriting. Solve arithmetic problems. Read passages aloud. The work can be repetitive. Sometimes tiring. Yet repetition itself is considered useful. Victorian educators often believe that repetition strengthens the mind. The same principle appears elsewhere in society. Improvement comes through practice. Progress comes through effort. Success comes through persistence. Many children spend years hearing these ideas. They become part of everyday thinking. Not dramatic ideas. Not exciting ideas. Simply familiar ideas. Like the steady ticking of a clock. Always present in the background. As the day unfolds, some children encounter another important feature of Victorian childhood. Rules. There are rules at home. Rules at school. Rules at church. Rules in public. Rules at work. Victorian society often values order very highly. Order creates predictability. Predictability creates stability. At least that is how many people see it. Children are expected to understand their place within this structure. Respect for parents matters. Respect for teachers matters. Respect for elders matters. Good behavior reflects well upon the family. Poor behavior may attract criticism. As a result, many children grow up under close supervision. Adults pay attention. Not necessarily because they wish to be harsh. Often because they believe guidance is necessary. A child left entirely alone may develop bad habits. At least according to common Victorian thinking. So adults intervene. They correct mistakes. Offer instruction. Enforce rules. Shape behavior. Childhood becomes a period of careful guidance. Of constant adjustment. Of steady training. As afternoon arrives, sunlight warms brick walls and cobbled streets. The city hums with activity. Factory whistles echo through the air. Shopkeepers serve customers. Street vendors call out their goods. Horse-drawn vehicles move steadily along busy roads. Children weave through this landscape as part of the larger flow of Victorian life. Many perform errands. Some carry packages. Others deliver messages. Some help family businesses. A young boy might spend hours assisting in a small shop. Learning prices. Learning customer service. Learning practical skills. A young girl might help with sewing, cooking, cleaning, or child care. These activities vary widely depending on family circumstances. Yet they share a common purpose. Preparation. The child is gradually entering the adult world. Not all at once. Slowly. Piece by piece. Responsibility by responsibility. Many Victorian adults see this process as entirely natural. Indeed, they often worry when children appear too idle. Idleness becomes a source of concern. An idle child may waste time. An idle child may develop poor habits. An idle child may fail to build character. Such fears appear frequently in Victorian writings. Books encourage industry. Teachers encourage industry. Parents encourage industry. The word carries special meaning during this period. It means more than simple work. It means purposeful effort. Steady effort. Useful effort. The kind of effort believed to strengthen both mind and character. As shadows begin lengthening across the streets, many children finally return home. The day's responsibilities are not yet finished. There are still chores waiting. Water to fetch. Floors to sweep. Meals to prepare. Clothes to mend. Younger siblings to supervise. Victorian households require constant maintenance. Without modern machines, everyday tasks consume significant time and energy. Children become part of this system. They learn practical skills through repetition. A girl may learn cooking by helping daily in the kitchen. A boy may learn repair work by assisting an older family member. Knowledge passes from one generation to another through ordinary routines. No formal lesson is required. The work itself becomes the lesson. Inside kitchens, evening meals begin taking shape. Firelight flickers against walls. Pots simmer gently. The smell of bread and vegetables fills the room. Family members move through familiar tasks. There is comfort here. Despite the demands of Victorian childhood, there are also moments of warmth. Moments of closeness. Moments of belonging. A family gathered together after a long day. A story shared by the fire. A simple meal enjoyed in good company. These moments matter. Children remember them. Even within a culture that values discipline, affection exists. Parents worry about their children. Hope for their futures. Work hard to provide for them. Victorian families are not defined solely by strictness. They are also defined by care. The two often exist side by side. A father may expect obedience while also feeling deep love for his children. A mother may enforce rules while working tirelessly for her family's comfort. The emotional world of Victorian childhood is often more complex than simple stereotypes suggest. Children laugh, play, dream, form friendships, create games from whatever materials are available. Even in crowded neighborhoods, play finds a way. A stick becomes a toy. A street becomes a playground. An empty afternoon becomes an adventure. Childhood never disappears entirely. It simply exists alongside responsibility. This balance creates much of the unique character of Victorian childhood. Children are still children. Yet society often asks them to behave with surprising maturity. The expectations arrive early, and they remain present throughout the growing years. As darkness settles once again across the city and countryside, the pace of life finally begins to slow. Shops close. Factory doors shut. The evening grows quieter. Candles glow softly behind curtains. Families gather indoors. Outside, the air cools. The sounds of the day fade gradually. Inside bedrooms, children prepare for sleep. Some read a little before bed. Some listen to family conversations. Some fall asleep almost immediately after exhausting days. The blankets are pulled close. The room grows still. Tomorrow waits patiently beyond the darkness. Another school lesson. Another chore. Another expectation. Another opportunity to demonstrate responsibility. Victorian society remains deeply committed to the belief that character is built slowly through effort. And so childhood continues under that guiding philosophy. A philosophy that values endurance. A philosophy that values discipline. A philosophy that sees hardship not as something to avoid completely, but often as something that teaches. Outside, clouds drift across the night sky. The moon appears and disappears behind them. A cool breeze moves quietly through empty streets. And across Britain, countless sleeping children rest beneath the same darkness, gathering strength for another day in a world carefully designed to prepare them for the long responsibilities of adult life. The night grows deeper. The city grows quieter. And our gentle journey through the long, demanding, and strangely ordinary world of Victorian childhood continues. The night settles softly over Britain once more. The last lamps flicker behind curtains. The final footsteps fade from the streets. Rainwater glistens on cobblestones beneath a pale moon, and a cool breeze moves quietly between rows of brick houses. Most of the city sleeps now. Factories stand silent. Schoolrooms are empty. Market stalls are closed. Only the occasional sound of a distant carriage drifts through the darkness before disappearing again. Inside countless homes, children sleep deeply after another long day. Some rest in narrow beds shared with brothers and sisters. Some sleep beneath heavy quilts stitched by careful hands. Some curl beneath blankets worn thin from years of use. The differences between households remain vast, yet the rhythm of childhood continues everywhere. Tomorrow will arrive early. And tomorrow, as always, will bring expectations. As the hours pass, let us move quietly through one of the most important parts of Victorian childhood. Not work. Not school. But obedience. Many Victorian adults believed that obedience formed the foundation of a good life. A child who obeyed parents learned respect. A child who obeyed teachers learned discipline. A child who obeyed rules developed character. At least, this was the belief held by many families. Because of this, children often lived within carefully defined boundaries. Adults made decisions. Children followed instructions. The family itself was usually organized in a clear hierarchy. Parents occupied positions of authority. Children were expected to listen. Questioning authority was often discouraged. Good behavior was praised. Disobedience was corrected. This approach could feel strict by modern standards, yet to many Victorians it seemed perfectly natural. Life itself appeared difficult and uncertain. Workplaces demanded discipline. Schools demanded discipline. Society demanded discipline. Therefore children, many believed, should learn discipline early. The lesson appeared almost everywhere. At breakfast tables, in classrooms, during church services, while completing chores, while speaking with adults. The expectation became woven into daily life. And over time, many children learned to navigate this world with remarkable awareness. They knew when to remain quiet. They knew how to behave around visitors. They understood family expectations. These skills became part of growing up. As dawn approaches once again, the city begins to stir. The darkness gradually softens. A pale glow appears along the horizon. Roosters call in rural villages. Factory whistles soon follow in industrial towns. The Victorian day is preparing to begin. Inside one small house, a mother is already awake. She moves quietly through the kitchen. A fire is lit. Water begins to warm. Breakfast preparations begin. Soon the household will awaken. For many mothers throughout Victorian Britain, daily life involved an enormous amount of labor. Cooking, cleaning, laundry, mending, childcare, budgeting. The list seems endless. Children witness this work every day. And many girls, especially, were expected to learn these skills from an early age. A daughter might spend years observing household routines. She learns how bread is prepared, how clothing is repaired, how meals are planned, how supplies are managed. These lessons are rarely formal. They emerge naturally from daily participation. The home becomes a classroom. The work becomes the teacher. Patience develops slowly. Practical knowledge grows steadily. Many girls understand that one day they may manage households of their own. Preparation begins long before adulthood arrives. Meanwhile, boys often receive their own forms of preparation. A father may teach practical skills connected to his trade. A shopkeeper teaches business habits. A craftsman teaches techniques. A farmer teaches agricultural work. Knowledge passes from generation to generation. Often quietly. Often through observation rather than explanation. The child watches. Then assists. Then practices. Then gradually learns. Victorian childhood frequently follows this pattern. Learning through doing. Learning through repetition. Learning through responsibility. The hours pass. Morning becomes afternoon. The city fills once more with movement and noise. Children travel through streets crowded with activity. The sights and sounds of Victorian life surround them. Horse hooves strike stone roads. Street vendors call to customers. Factory chimneys release smoke into the sky. Laundry flutters above narrow alleys. Church bells ring across neighborhoods. The city feels alive. Busy. Restless. Constantly moving. For children, this environment provides a steady education in the realities of adult life. They see commerce. They see labor. They see poverty. They see wealth. They see success. They see hardship. The world reveals itself early. There is little separation between childhood and society. Children grow up directly within its rhythms. As a result, many become surprisingly aware of practical matters. Money matters. Employment matters. Reputation matters. Respectability matters. Victorian society places enormous importance on reputation. Families often worry about how they are perceived by neighbors and communities. Children learn this concern as well. Behavior reflects upon the family. A polite child brings pride. A troublesome child may invite criticism. These social pressures influence daily life in subtle ways. Clothing is kept as neat as circumstances allow. Manners are emphasized. Respectability becomes something families actively pursue. Even households with limited resources may work hard to present themselves well. Children absorb these values through observation. Again and again, the lesson appears. Character matters. Appearance matters. Conduct matters. As afternoon sunlight stretches across streets and fields, another aspect of Victorian childhood becomes visible. Patience. Many parts of life require waiting. Waiting for food to cook. Waiting for water to boil. Waiting for laundry to dry. Waiting for letters to arrive. Waiting for work to finish. The pace of life often moves more slowly than modern life. Children become accustomed to this rhythm. Not everything happens immediately. Tasks take time. Journeys take time. Results take time. Patience becomes a practical necessity. A child helping in a kitchen may spend hours preparing a single meal. A child assisting on a farm may wait months to see the results of planting. A child learning a trade may spend years mastering basic skills. The Victorian world frequently rewards persistence over speed. And so children learn to continue steadily. One task at a time. One day at a time. One lesson at a time. As evening approaches, schools begin to empty once more. Children stream into the streets. Some walk home alone. Some travel with friends. The atmosphere becomes lighter. The formal structure of the school day fades. Conversations grow livelier. Stories are exchanged. Plans for small games are made. For a little while, childhood feels less burdened by expectation. Yet even play often reflects Victorian values. Many games encourage teamwork. Rules. Fairness. Self-control. The same themes appear repeatedly. Society's priorities find their way into recreation just as they find their way into education. Even so, play remains important. Children laugh. Run. Imagine. Explore. The human need for joy survives within every generation. Victorian children are no exception. A narrow street can become a world of adventure. A simple toy can provide hours of amusement. A free afternoon can feel precious. Especially in lives filled with responsibilities. As dusk settles across the land, families begin gathering indoors. The air grows cooler. Shadows lengthen. Lights appear behind windows. Inside homes, the evening routines begin. Meals are prepared. Tables are set. Family members return from their various duties. For many children, supper offers a welcome pause. A chance to sit. A chance to rest. A chance to share stories from the day. Parents ask questions. Children answer. Small victories are discussed. Minor troubles are mentioned. The ordinary events of daily life become conversation. These quiet family moments help hold households together. In a world that often emphasizes duty and discipline, there is still room for warmth. Still room for affection. Still room for care. The image of Victorian childhood is sometimes imagined as entirely stern and joyless. The reality is often more balanced. Strictness exists. Expectations exist. Hardship exists. But so do kindness and comfort. A favorite story read beside the fire. A special holiday meal. A parent's reassuring words. A sibling's companionship. These moments matter deeply. They soften the harsher edges of daily life. As darkness fully arrives, many children spend part of the evening reading. Books hold an important place within Victorian culture. Stories are often expected to educate as well as entertain. Characters face challenges, learn lessons, develop virtues. The themes feel familiar. Perseverance, honesty, responsibility, courage. The same values that appear throughout society appear again within literature. Children encounter them repeatedly. At school, at church, at home, in books. The lessons become deeply familiar companions. Eventually the hour grows late. Candles burn lower. Conversations quiet. One by one, family members prepare for bed. The house settles. Floorboards creak softly. Doors close. Blankets are arranged. The day's labor finally ends. Outside, the city becomes still once more. Moonlight spreads across rooftops. Fog drifts gently through empty streets. The great machinery of Victorian life pauses for a few precious hours. Children close tired eyes. Tomorrow waits beyond the darkness. Another day of lessons. Another day of expectations. Another day of preparation. And so the cycle continues. The Victorian belief in character, discipline, and endurance remains woven into the fabric of childhood. Not always gently. Not always fairly. But consistently. Year after year. Generation after generation. Outside, a cool night breeze moves softly between chimneys and church towers. The stars shine faintly through drifting clouds. And beneath that quiet sky, the children of Victorian Britain sleep peacefully for now, resting before another day in a world that asks much from them long before they have fully grown. The night deepens. The city dreams. And our slow journey through the hidden corners of Victorian childhood continues onward through the darkness. The night lingers quietly above the rooftops. A thin silver moon hangs over the sleeping streets. Its pale light touches chimney pots, church spires, and rows of brick houses standing shoulder to shoulder beneath the darkness. The city rests for a few precious hours. Inside countless homes, breathing is slow and steady. Children sleep after long days filled with lessons, chores, errands, and expectations. For now, there is only silence. Only the faint creak of settling floorboards. Only the distant sound of wind moving through narrow streets. Only the quiet rhythm of another Victorian night. Yet even while the city sleeps, the values that shape Victorian childhood remain present. They wait patiently for morning. And when dawn arrives, they will guide another day. The first light appears gradually. The darkness softens. Gray skies begin turning pale blue. A few birds greet the morning. Smoke rises from chimneys. Doors open. The city awakens once more. In many Victorian households, children are expected to make good use of every hour. Time itself is considered valuable. Wasting time is often viewed as a flaw. A child who works steadily earns praise. A child who remains focused earns praise. A child who completes tasks without delay earns praise. Throughout Victorian society, productivity becomes closely connected to virtue. People admire those who stay busy, who remain useful, who continue working even when tasks are difficult. This attitude affects children from a very young age. Even simple activities are often connected to improvement. Reading improves the mind. Chores improve responsibility. Practice improves skill. Work improves character. The idea appears everywhere. Every hour should accomplish something. Every day should move a child closer toward becoming a capable adult. As the morning unfolds, let us step quietly into a Victorian neighborhood where rows of modest homes line a narrow street. Laundry hangs between buildings. The smell of coal smoke drifts through the air. Shopkeepers prepare for business. Workers hurry toward factories. Children move among them. Some carry books beneath their arms. Others carry baskets. Some walk quickly, already thinking about the responsibilities waiting ahead. Life begins early here. A child may already have completed several chores before school begins. Water fetched. Floors swept. Coal brought inside. Breakfast dishes cleaned. The tasks themselves are not extraordinary. Yet together they create a rhythm of constant responsibility. There is always something that needs doing. Something that needs attention. Something that requires effort. Victorian adults often consider this normal. In fact, many believe it is beneficial. Children learn through participation. Children grow stronger through responsibility. At least that is the common belief. And because this belief is so widespread, it shapes childhood in ways that can seem surprisingly demanding. A child may not think of chores as optional. They are simply part of daily life. As ordinary as eating breakfast or going to bed. Meanwhile, across town, another child lives in a much wealthier household. The surroundings are different. The furniture is finer. The rooms are larger. Servants handle many practical tasks. Yet expectations still exist. The child follows a strict schedule. Lessons fill much of the day. Behavior is carefully monitored. Mistakes are corrected. Achievements are encouraged. Victorian ideas about discipline often cross social boundaries. The details may vary, but the underlying philosophy remains familiar. Childhood is preparation. Preparation requires effort. Effort requires discipline. Whether rich or poor, children often encounter versions of this belief. As the school day begins, classrooms once again fill with students. Wooden desks stand in orderly rows. Books open. Lessons commence. The atmosphere remains serious. Teachers expect concentration. Children are encouraged to pay close attention. The Victorian classroom is not designed primarily for comfort. It is designed for instruction. Learning can feel repetitive. Recitations. Copying exercises. Mathematics problems. Reading passages aloud. Yet many children gradually adapt to this routine. The mind learns its own forms of endurance. Patience develops. Focus develops. Habits develop. The same values appear once again. Steady effort. Consistent practice. Persistence. These qualities are praised repeatedly. Not because they are exciting, but because they are considered useful. Outside the classroom windows, the city continues its daily movement. Horse-drawn wagons pass by. Street vendors call to customers. Factory whistles echo through the air. Life moves steadily onward. Inside, children continue learning. Some enjoy certain subjects. Others struggle. Some dream of future careers. Others think mostly about returning home. Yet regardless of personal feelings, the expectation remains. Education matters. Improvement matters. Preparation matters. As afternoon sunlight brightens the streets, another aspect of Victorian childhood becomes visible. The importance of self-control. Victorian society places enormous value on controlling emotions and behavior. Children are often encouraged to remain calm, remain respectful, remain composed, even during difficult moments. This expectation appears in many parts of daily life. A child may be encouraged not to complain too much, not to show anger openly, not to display selfishness. Instead, qualities such as patience and restraint are admired. Adults frequently see these traits as signs of maturity, as signs that character is developing properly. The lesson can be challenging. After all, children experience strong emotions just as adults do. They feel frustration, excitement, sadness, joy, fear, curiosity. Yet Victorian culture often encourages careful management of these feelings. Children learn to regulate themselves, to behave appropriately in public, to consider how their actions affect others. Again, the goal is preparation. Preparing children to function successfully within society. Preparing them to meet future responsibilities. As afternoon drifts toward evening, the pace of the day begins to soften. School ends. Work concludes. Families gradually return home. The streets remain busy, but the urgency of morning has faded. Golden light falls across buildings. Long shadows stretch over roads and courtyards. The city seems calmer now. Inside homes, evening routines begin once again. And it is here, during these ordinary hours, that many important lessons of Victorian childhood take place. A child helps prepare supper, learns how ingredients are measured, learns how meals are planned, learns how households function. Another child assists with bookkeeping in a small family business, learns about money, learns about customers, learns about responsibility. A third helps care for younger siblings, learns patience, learns attentiveness, learns sacrifice. These lessons are not always formally taught. Often they emerge naturally from participation. Children observe adults, then imitate them, then gradually take on more responsibility themselves. The process is slow, steady, continuous, and because it unfolds over many years, it becomes one of the defining features of Victorian childhood. The boundary between learning and daily life is often difficult to see. Life itself becomes the classroom. As darkness settles beyond the windows, families gather around evening meals. The warmth of the room contrasts with the cool air outside. Candles glow softly. Voices rise and fall in quiet conversation. The atmosphere is peaceful. For a little while, the demands of the day loosen their grip. Parents and children share stories, discuss events, exchange observations. These simple moments help create a sense of belonging. Even in households facing financial hardship, family life often provides comfort. The world outside may be demanding. The home offers shelter. The home offers familiarity. The home offers connection. Children remember these moments. The smell of cooking food. The sound of a parent's voice. The gentle flicker of candlelight on the walls. Small details become lasting memories. As evening deepens, some children spend time reading. Others complete school assignments. Others simply sit beside family members while various household tasks continue. The pace grows slower, quieter, more reflective. Outside, darkness spreads across the city. Street lamps begin glowing. The final customers leave shops. Factory buildings stand silent once again. The noise of the day gradually fades. Inside bedrooms, children prepare for sleep. Tomorrow already waits beyond the horizon. Another day of learning. Another day of work. Another day of responsibilities both large and small. And so the cycle continues. Victorian childhood remains shaped by expectations that modern observers might find surprisingly heavy. Yet for many people living at the time, these expectations feel natural. Necessary, even. The world appears demanding. Therefore children must be prepared. Prepared through discipline. Prepared through routine. Prepared through effort. Prepared through hardship. This belief influences homes, schools, churches, workplaces, and communities. It becomes one of the central ideas of the age. Outside, a cool breeze moves gently through the empty streets. Clouds drift slowly across the moon. The city settles into silence once more. Children close their eyes. The long day is finally over. Their dreams arrive quietly beneath the Victorian night. And as darkness wraps itself around rooftops, chimneys, and sleeping neighborhoods, our gentle journey through the demanding, disciplined, and deeply human world of Victorian childhood continues onward, one quiet day at a time. The night rests peacefully over the land. Moonlight glimmers faintly on wet rooftops. A soft mist drifts between houses and across quiet fields beyond the towns. The streets that only hours ago echoed with carts, voices, and hurried footsteps now seem almost forgotten. Everything is still. A church clock marks the passing hours. Somewhere far away, a dog barks once and then falls silent again. Most families are asleep. Children rest beneath blankets, their long day finally complete. Yet while they sleep, the world around them remains unchanged. The factories still stand waiting for dawn. The schools still wait behind closed doors. The farms still stretch across the countryside beneath the pale glow of the moon. And the expectations of Victorian childhood wait quietly for another morning. The first signs of day arrive slowly. The eastern sky lightens. A faint gray glow spreads across the horizon. Birds begin to stir among trees and rooftops. Before long, chimneys release their first ribbons of smoke. The city awakens once more. For many Victorian children, one of the most important lessons of childhood is not taught through books. It is taught through routine. Routine shapes nearly every hour of life. The same morning tasks. The same responsibilities. The same expectations. Day after day. Week after week. Year after year. Modern life often celebrates change and excitement. Victorian life often values consistency. Children learn comfort from familiar schedules. They know when lessons begin. They know when chores must be completed. They know what is expected of them. Routine provides structure. Structure provides order. And order is deeply valued throughout Victorian society. A child may wake each morning at nearly the same time. Complete the same chores. Follow the same route to school. Return home along the same streets. Perform the same evening duties. To modern eyes, the rhythm may appear repetitive. Yet within that repetition, Victorian adults see something important. They see character being built. They see discipline becoming habit. They see reliability taking root. These ideas remain powerful throughout the century. As sunlight spreads across the city, let us quietly visit one of the many institutions that played a major role in Victorian childhood. The church. For countless families, religion is woven deeply into everyday life. Church attendance is not merely a weekly activity. Religious values influence education, family life, and community expectations. Children hear stories about duty. about kindness, about humility, about perseverance. These lessons often reinforce the values already present elsewhere in society. A good child should be respectful. A good child should be honest. A good child should think of others. A good child should work diligently. The messages are familiar. And because they are repeated in many different settings, they become deeply rooted. For some children, church provides a sense of comfort and belonging. The building itself feels calm. Sunlight filters through windows. Voices rise together in song. The noise of daily life fades for a little while. The atmosphere encourages reflection, stillness, patience, qualities that Victorian culture greatly admires. Outside the church walls, life continues at its usual pace. Workers move through busy streets. Shops open for business. Factories hum with activity. And children continue their own journeys through the world. As they grow older, many Victorian children become increasingly aware of social class. The differences between rich and poor are visible almost everywhere. A child walking through the city may see grand houses standing only a short distance from crowded neighborhoods. Elegant carriages pass laborers heading to work. Fine clothing appears alongside patched coats and worn shoes. These contrasts become part of everyday life. Children notice them. They may not fully understand them at first. But over time, they begin to recognize the different opportunities available to different families. A wealthy child often receives extensive education. A poor child may leave school early to help support the household. A wealthy child may have time for study and hobbies. A poor child may spend long hours contributing to family income. Victorian society accepts many of these differences as normal. The social structure feels fixed to many people. Yet childhood remains challenging across social classes, even if the challenges differ. The wealthy child faces constant pressure to succeed and uphold family expectations. The poor child faces practical responsibilities that can arrive very early. Both experience a world that expects much from them. As afternoon sunlight warms the streets, another important feature of Victorian childhood comes into view. The culture of improvement. Victorian society is fascinated by self-improvement. Books are written about it. Speeches encourage it. Teachers promote it. Parents discuss it. The idea appears almost everywhere. A person should always strive to become better, more knowledgeable, more disciplined, more responsible, more useful. Children absorb this message from an early age. A school assignment becomes an opportunity for improvement. A chore becomes an opportunity for improvement. A mistake becomes an opportunity for improvement. The process never truly ends. Growth is viewed as a lifelong responsibility. This attitude can inspire determination. It can also create pressure. Many children feel the weight of expectations. There is always another skill to learn, another habit to strengthen, another goal to pursue. The Victorian world rarely encourages children to simply remain as they are. Instead, it encourages constant development, constant effort, constant refinement. As the afternoon drifts gently toward evening, let us step into a small workshop. The room smells faintly of wood shavings and oil. Sunlight enters through dusty windows. Tools hang neatly along the walls. A craftsman works carefully at a bench. Beside him stands a young apprentice. The apprentice watches closely. Every movement matters. Every technique matters. Knowledge is being passed down. Not through lengthy explanations, but through observation, through practice, through repetition. Victorian childhood often includes experiences like this. Young people gradually learn adult skills by participating in adult work. The process takes years. Patience is required. Mistakes are expected. Improvement comes slowly. Yet this gradual learning process helps children feel connected to future roles. The apprentice begins to imagine becoming a skilled craftsman someday. The young helper on a farm imagines managing fields. The child assisting in a shop imagines running a business. Childhood and adulthood remain closely connected. One flows steadily into the other. As evening approaches, shadows stretch across roads and courtyards. The air cools. The pace of the day softens. Families begin returning home. The familiar evening routines once again unfold. Meals are prepared. Tables are set. Conversations begin. These quiet domestic hours occupy an important place within Victorian life. Many lessons occur around the family table. Not formal lessons. Everyday lessons. Children hear adults discuss finances, employment, neighbors, community events, household concerns. Gradually, they gain a deeper understanding of the world around them. Childhood does not exist in complete separation from adult life. Children often witness the realities of responsibility firsthand. This awareness helps explain why Victorian childhood sometimes appears unusually serious. The serious tone emerges naturally from the environment itself. Children are surrounded by responsibility. Therefore, responsibility becomes familiar. As candles are lit and darkness settles beyond the windows, another side of childhood begins to emerge. Imagination. Despite strict schedules and demanding expectations, children remain wonderfully imaginative. Stories are invented. Games are created. Dreams are formed. A simple object may become part of an elaborate adventure. A backyard may become an entire world. Even children with heavy responsibilities find moments for creativity. The human imagination has always found room to grow. Victorian childhood is no exception. Indeed, imagination may become especially valuable in lives governed by routine. A brief moment of play. A favorite story. A cherished book. These small pleasures can brighten an ordinary day. And ordinary days make up most of childhood. Not grand events. Not dramatic moments. Ordinary days. Thousands of them. Slowly shaping a person over time. As night deepens, homes grow quiet. Candles burn lower. Conversations fade. The city settles into darkness once more. Children climb into bed. Some feel excited about tomorrow. Some feel tired. Some worry about school lessons. Others think about chores waiting in the morning. Yet for now, those concerns can rest. The day is finished. The house is still. Outside, moonlight spreads softly across rooftops and empty streets. A cool breeze moves through the sleeping city. And beneath the calm Victorian sky, countless children drift peacefully into dreams, carrying with them the habits, lessons, expectations, and hopes that their world has placed gently upon their shoulders. The night grows deeper. The stars shine quietly above the chimneys. And our slow journey through the long, disciplined, and carefully structured world of Victorian childhood continues through another peaceful evening. The night stretches calmly across the rooftops of Victorian Britain. A pale moon hangs above rows of chimneys. Thin clouds drift slowly across the sky, moving so gently that they seem almost still. Below, entire neighborhoods sleep beneath the quiet darkness. The factory yards are silent. The schoolrooms are empty. The shops are closed. Even the busiest streets have become calm. Only the occasional glow of a late candle appears behind a curtain before disappearing once more. Inside these sleeping homes, children rest after another day of duties, lessons, and routines. Their hands are still. Their eyes are closed. The expectations of the day have finally loosened their grip. For a few precious hours, childhood belongs entirely to dreams. Yet dawn is already approaching somewhere beyond the horizon. And with dawn will come another lesson in one of the greatest virtues of Victorian childhood: patience. Victorian life often moves more slowly than many lives today. Letters travel gradually. Journeys require time. Work progresses step by step. Results are rarely immediate. Children grow up surrounded by this slower rhythm. A child waiting for a letter from a relative may wait days or weeks. A family saving money for a needed purchase may wait months. A young apprentice learning a trade may wait years before becoming fully skilled. Waiting becomes part of life. And because waiting is unavoidable, patience becomes valuable. Adults frequently encourage children to accept delays without complaint. Good things take time. Skills take time. Knowledge takes time. Success takes time. The lesson appears again and again. Slow progress is still progress. Steady effort is still effort. Each small step matters. As morning arrives, sunlight begins touching rooftops and church towers. The city wakes gradually. Workers emerge into the cool air. Doors open. Footsteps return to the streets. A new day begins. Inside one modest home, a young boy sits at a wooden table finishing his breakfast. The meal is simple. Bread. Perhaps a little jam. Perhaps porridge. The family speaks quietly before beginning the day's responsibilities. Soon the boy will leave for school. His father will leave for work. His mother will begin the long sequence of household tasks that fill so many hours. The routine is familiar. So familiar that nobody thinks much about it. And yet these ordinary mornings are shaping childhood in powerful ways. Victorian children often learn responsibility through repetition rather than instruction. The lesson is not always spoken aloud. The lesson is lived. Each morning teaches punctuality. Each chore teaches reliability. Each responsibility teaches accountability. Small actions repeated thousands of times gradually become habits. And habits, Victorians believe, become character. This belief appears almost everywhere. Books discuss it. Teachers reinforce it. Parents model it. Religious leaders encourage it. Character is not seen as something that appears suddenly. It is built slowly. Day after day. Choice after choice. Task after task. As the morning continues, let us step into a Victorian schoolyard. Children arrive in groups. Some talk quietly with friends. Others hurry inside before lessons begin. The building itself may be plain. Brick walls. Tall windows. Wooden floors. Simple furnishings. Yet for many children, school represents opportunity. Education is becoming increasingly important throughout the century. Many families hope literacy and knowledge will open doors for future generations. Parents who worked long hours in difficult conditions often want better possibilities for their children. School becomes part of that hope. Yet hope does not remove discipline. The classroom remains structured. Teachers maintain order. Lessons follow schedules. Children are expected to focus. The school day demands effort. A student may spend hours practicing handwriting, carefully forming each letter, again and again. The work can feel tedious. Yet Victorians often see value in such repetition. The exercise strengthens concentration, strengthens patience, strengthens discipline. The result matters. But so does the process. In many ways, Victorian childhood focuses as much on how something is learned as on what is learned. A difficult task completed patiently is considered a success, even if the task itself seems ordinary. As sunlight climbs higher, the streets outside grow busier. Merchants serve customers. Workers move between jobs. Children who are not attending school may already be deep into their daily responsibilities. Some help family businesses. Some assist in workshops. Some contribute to farms. Others perform household labor that keeps families functioning. Victorian childhood contains many different experiences. No single story can represent them all. A child growing up in rural Scotland experiences a different life from a child growing up in industrial Manchester. A child from a wealthy London family experiences a different life from a child in a crowded mining community. Yet certain themes appear repeatedly. Responsibility, discipline, preparation, duty. These ideas connect many Victorian childhoods despite enormous differences in circumstance. As afternoon arrives, warm sunlight falls across city streets and country roads alike. The day reaches its busiest hours. For many children, fatigue begins to appear. Concentration becomes harder. Tasks feel heavier. Energy starts to fade. Yet this is often when Victorian expectations become most visible. Adults frequently admire perseverance. Continuing despite tiredness. Continuing despite difficulty. Continuing despite boredom. The ability to keep going becomes a respected quality. A child who completes responsibilities even when exhausted may receive praise. Such praise reinforces the lesson. Persistence matters. Not because persistence feels pleasant, but because life often requires it. The Victorian world rarely promises ease. Instead, it emphasizes readiness. Preparing children for challenges that adulthood may bring. As the afternoon slowly drifts toward evening, another important aspect of Victorian childhood emerges. The relationship between children and adults. Modern childhood often includes spaces created specifically for young people. Victorian childhood is frequently more integrated into the adult world. Children spend significant time observing grown ups. Watching them work. Watching them solve problems. Watching them manage households and businesses. The adult world remains highly visible. Its responsibilities are not hidden away. As a result, children often gain practical knowledge early. They understand the importance of earning money. They understand the challenges of maintaining a home. They understand that effort is required to keep daily life functioning. This awareness shapes their outlook. Many Victorian children mature quickly because they witness adult responsibilities so closely. The boundary between childhood and adulthood feels thinner. Not absent, but thinner. A child may still play games with friends. Still imagine fantastic adventures. Still enjoy stories and laughter. Yet those moments exist alongside practical duties. The two worlds overlap constantly. As evening shadows lengthen, families begin returning home. The city softens. The urgency of daytime fades. Shopkeepers close doors. Workers finish tasks. The pace slows. Inside homes, lamps and candles are lit. Their warm glow fills rooms with gentle light. The evening meal becomes the center of family life. People gather together. Stories are exchanged. Concerns are discussed. Advice is offered. Children listen. Sometimes they speak. Sometimes they simply observe. These moments provide a different kind of education. Not the education of books. The education of experience. Children learn how adults think. How adults make decisions. How adults respond to challenges. The lessons are subtle. Yet they remain powerful. As darkness settles fully outside, many families spend quiet hours together. Perhaps someone reads aloud from a book. Perhaps sewing continues beside the fire. Perhaps a parent shares a story from earlier years. The atmosphere becomes peaceful. The demands of the day gradually dissolve. For children, these moments may become treasured memories. Not because they are extraordinary, but because they are familiar. The comfort of family often emerges from ordinary routines repeated over time. A favorite chair near the fire. The sound of a parent's voice. The smell of supper lingering in the room. Small details create lasting impressions. Victorian childhood is filled with such details. Moments of strictness. Moments of effort. Moments of warmth. All existing together. As the hour grows late, children begin preparing for bed. The house becomes quieter. Candles burn lower. Doors close softly. Blankets are arranged. The day's responsibilities finally come to an end. Outside, the city once again enters its nighttime stillness. Moonlight touches rooftops. Mist gathers along empty streets. The sounds of industry and commerce fade completely. Only silence remains. And beneath that silence, countless children drift into sleep. Some dream of future adventures. Some dream of holidays and celebrations. Some dream of becoming teachers, craftsmen, merchants, sailors, farmers, or writers. Their futures remain unknown. Yet their childhoods continue to be shaped by the same steady forces. Routine. Responsibility. Discipline. Patience. Preparation. The values that Victorian society believes will guide them into adulthood. The night deepens. The stars shimmer faintly above the chimneys and church spires. A cool breeze moves gently through the darkness. And our quiet journey through the long, demanding, and deeply human experience of Victorian childhood continues onward beneath the peaceful glow of another sleeping Victorian sky. The night remains calm. A thin layer of mist drifts slowly across the sleeping streets. Moonlight rests upon rows of brick chimneys and silent rooftops. The city seems softer now than it does during the busy hours of daylight. No factory whistles sound. No classroom bells ring. No merchants call from crowded streets. For a little while, the Victorian world is quiet. The great engines of work and responsibility have paused. Children sleep peacefully in homes large and small. Some rest beneath carefully stitched quilts. Others sleep beneath blankets worn smooth by years of use. The differences between their lives remain great, yet the darkness covers every rooftop equally. The same moon shines above wealthy districts and crowded neighborhoods alike. The same stars watch over city streets and distant farms. And before long, another morning will arrive. The cycle never truly stops. The Victorian world moves steadily forward, day after day, season after season. As dawn approaches once more, let us turn our attention towards something that shaped many Victorian childhoods in a quiet but powerful way. The idea of earning respect. Throughout Victorian society, respect is treated almost like a form of currency. People earn it through behavior, through hard work, through reliability, through honesty. Children hear these ideas from an early age. A respectable person keeps promises. A respectable person works diligently. A respectable person behaves properly. The concept appears constantly. Parents discuss it. Teachers encourage it. Community leaders praise it. Even children's books often reward characters who demonstrate respectable behavior. As a result, many young people grow up with a strong awareness of how they are perceived by others. Reputation matters. Conduct matters. The opinion of neighbors and community members matters. This concern can influence countless small decisions. A child learns to greet adults politely, learns to speak respectfully, learns to avoid behavior that might embarrass the family. The lessons become woven into everyday life. Not dramatic lessons. Not unusual lessons. Simply part of growing up. As the first sunlight begins touching rooftops, the city awakens once more. Doors open. Smoke rises from chimneys. Footsteps return to the streets. The familiar rhythm begins again. Inside one home, a young girl helps prepare breakfast before school. She has performed this task many times before. Her hands know the routine. The movements feel familiar, comfortable, predictable. Victorian childhood often contains countless routines like this. Simple tasks repeated so frequently that they become second nature. Adults generally view these routines as valuable. Repetition creates skill. Repetition creates discipline. Repetition creates confidence. A child who performs household duties regularly becomes capable. At least, that is the hope. Throughout Victorian Britain, capability is highly admired. People respect those who can manage responsibilities effectively, who can solve problems, who can contribute meaningfully to family and community life. Children are encouraged to move gradually toward that ideal. As morning progresses, schools begin filling once again. The familiar sounds return. Voices. Footsteps. Pages turning. Pens scratching across paper. Lessons begin. And within those classrooms, another important Victorian value takes shape. Self-reliance. Many adults hope children will learn to depend upon their own effort, to complete tasks without constant supervision, to solve problems thoughtfully, to persevere when challenges appear. This does not mean children are expected to manage everything alone. Families remain important. Communities remain important. But personal responsibility occupies a central place in Victorian thinking. A student struggling with arithmetic is encouraged to continue trying. A child learning a skill is encouraged to keep practicing. Improvement is expected to come through persistence. The lesson appears repeatedly. Do not give up too quickly. Continue. Keep working. Keep learning. Keep improving. For many children, these messages become deeply familiar companions throughout their youth. As the day unfolds, sunlight brightens streets and fields across the country. In rural areas, farm children participate in seasonal routines that have changed little for generations. The pace of life follows the land. Spring planting. Summer growth. Autumn harvest. Winter preparation. Each season brings its own responsibilities. Children become closely connected to these natural rhythms. They understand that crops require patience. Animals require care. Weather influences everything. A sudden storm can alter plans. A dry season can create worry. Nature teaches lessons that no classroom can fully provide. Lessons about uncertainty. Lessons about endurance. Lessons about adapting when circumstances change. Victorian adults often admire these qualities greatly. The ability to remain steady despite difficulties becomes a sign of strong character. And so children growing up on farms frequently encounter the same values found elsewhere in Victorian society. Responsibility. Patience. Persistence. The setting may differ, but the lessons feel familiar. Meanwhile, in cities and industrial towns, childhood unfolds amid very different surroundings. Brick buildings rise above crowded streets. Smoke drifts from factory chimneys. Commerce fills the air with constant movement. Children navigate busy environments where work is visible everywhere. They see adults leaving for jobs before sunrise. They see shopkeepers balancing accounts. They see craftsmen producing goods. They see laborers carrying heavy loads. The city itself becomes a classroom. Every street contains lessons about effort and survival. As afternoon arrives, let us pause beside a small family business. Perhaps it is a bakery. Perhaps a tailor's shop. Perhaps a tiny grocery serving the neighborhood. The details matter less than the atmosphere. Family members work together. Adults handle major responsibilities. Children assist where they can. Knowledge passes naturally between generations. The child learns by watching, by helping, by participating. Over time, simple observations become understanding. The workings of business no longer seem mysterious. The child begins imagining future possibilities. Perhaps one day they will manage such responsibilities themselves. This gradual preparation appears throughout Victorian life. Children are not merely told about adulthood. They are steadily introduced to it. Little by little. Year by year. The transition happens slowly enough that it may barely be noticed. As afternoon shadows lengthen, fatigue begins to settle over the day. The energy of morning has faded. Lessons have required concentration. Chores have required effort. Work has required attention. Children feel tired. Adults feel tired. Everyone looks forward to evening. Yet even tiredness contains lessons within the Victorian worldview. The ability to continue despite fatigue is often admired. Not because exhaustion is pleasant, but because persistence is respected. A child who completes responsibilities before resting demonstrates reliability. Reliability becomes one of the most valued traits of all. People depend upon reliable individuals. Families depend upon them. Employers depend upon them. Communities depend upon them. Victorian children hear this message frequently. Your actions matter. Others depend upon you. Do your part. The lesson is simple, yet powerful. As dusk settles across rooftops and fields, homes begin glowing with candlelight. The air grows cooler. The noise of the day softens. Families gather indoors. And here, in the quiet hours of evening, childhood often reveals its gentler side. A mother tells a story while sewing. A father shares memories from his own youth. Siblings laugh together over small events from the day. The atmosphere becomes warm, comforting, safe. Even in households facing hardship, these moments provide relief from daily pressures. Victorian childhood is not only discipline and responsibility. It is also belonging, connection, family. The feeling of returning home after a long day. These emotional bonds help children navigate a demanding world. A child who feels loved may endure difficulties more easily. A child who feels supported may face challenges with greater confidence. Victorian families, like families in every era, are complex. Some are strict. Some are affectionate. Many are both at different times. Human relationships rarely fit simple descriptions. As darkness deepens outside, books sometimes emerge from shelves. Stories are read aloud by candlelight. The room grows quiet. Listeners become absorbed in distant places and imagined adventures. For children, such moments offer windows into larger worlds. The imagination travels far beyond the walls of home. Beyond the city. Beyond the countryside. Beyond everyday responsibilities. These journeys of the mind provide balance. The practical world teaches duty. Stories nourish wonder. Both become important parts of childhood. Eventually the hour grows late. Candles burn low. The fire softens into glowing embers. Conversations fade. One by one, family members prepare for sleep. The routines are familiar now. Doors close. Blankets are arranged. The house settles into silence. Outside, the Victorian night returns. Moonlight touches empty streets. Mist gathers near stone walls and garden paths. The city rests. The countryside rests. Children drift peacefully into dreams. And while they sleep, another day quietly joins the thousands of ordinary days that together shape a Victorian childhood. Not through grand events. Not through dramatic moments. But through routines. Lessons. Expectations. Affection. Effort. And the steady passage of time. The stars continue their slow journey overhead. The wind moves softly through the darkness. And our gentle exploration of Victorian childhood carries onward through another calm and sleepy night. The night drifts onward in silence. Above the sleeping towns and villages of Victorian Britain, clouds move slowly across the stars. Their shadows pass over rooftops, churchyards, quiet fields, and winding roads that lie empty beneath the moonlight. Everything feels still. The factories that thunder with activity during the day now stand dark and silent. The schoolrooms rest behind locked doors. The marketplaces sleep beneath their awnings. For a few gentle hours, the world seems content simply to breathe. Inside homes, children sleep deeply. The smallest children curl beneath blankets beside brothers and sisters. Older children rest after long days filled with study, labor, errands, and responsibilities. Tomorrow is still hidden beyond the darkness. For now, there is only peace. And as we move quietly through the sleeping world, let us turn toward another part of Victorian childhood that shaped countless young lives. The experience of growing up in large families. In many Victorian homes, children rarely spend much time alone. Brothers and sisters are everywhere. They share bedrooms. They share meals. They share chores. They share responsibilities. And often, they share the experience of growing up. A household may contain 6 children. Sometimes 8. Sometimes even more. Every family is different, but large households are common. This creates a childhood filled with constant companionship. Older siblings help younger ones. Younger siblings watch and imitate older ones. Knowledge passes naturally through the family. A child learns not only from parents but also from brothers and sisters. How to tie boots. How to complete chores. How to behave at school. How to avoid mistakes. The family becomes its own small world. Within that world, children learn cooperation. They learn patience. They learn compromise. After all, when many people share limited space, everyone must learn to live together. A bedroom shared by several children offers little privacy. A crowded kitchen offers little personal space. Yet these conditions also create closeness. Memories are formed together. Stories are shared together. Challenges are faced together. The bonds between siblings often become one of the strongest parts of childhood. As dawn slowly approaches, the first birds begin singing outside cottage windows and city rooftops. The eastern sky brightens little by little. Morning is coming. Soon fires will be lit. Breakfasts prepared. Doors opened. The familiar rhythm of Victorian life will begin again. Inside one crowded home, a young boy wakes before his siblings. The room is still dim. The air feels cool. For a moment, the house remains quiet. Then the sounds of the day begin. Someone moves downstairs. A floorboard creaks. A door opens. Soon the entire household will be awake. This daily transformation from silence to activity is something Victorian children experience thousands of times. The rhythm becomes deeply familiar. The house awakens. The family prepares. The day begins. Routine provides structure. Structure provides comfort. Even demanding routines can become reassuring when repeated often enough. Many Victorian children know exactly what each day will require. The predictability helps create a sense of order. The world may contain uncertainty. The household follows a pattern. That pattern becomes part of life. As sunlight spreads across the streets, another school day begins. Children enter classrooms carrying books, slates, and lessons yet to be learned. The atmosphere remains serious, but not entirely without warmth. Many teachers are strict. Yet many also care deeply about their students. They want children to succeed. They want them to learn skills that may improve future opportunities. Victorian education is often remembered for discipline, and discipline is certainly present. But alongside that discipline exists genuine belief in the value of learning. A teacher may spend years helping children master reading and writing. A difficult task. A slow task. A task requiring enormous patience. Progress often comes one small step at a time. One word learned. One sentence understood. One lesson completed. Education itself becomes an exercise in persistence. And persistence remains one of the great virtues of the age. As the morning continues, let us leave the classroom for a moment and wander through a Victorian street. The city is alive now. Shop signs hang above storefronts. Customers move between businesses. Horse-drawn wagons carry goods through crowded roads. Street vendors offer fruit, newspapers, and other necessities. Children move through this landscape as naturally as adults. Some run errands. Some carry packages. Some help family businesses. Others simply walk to and from school. The city belongs to them too. They learn its shortcuts, its sounds, its rhythms. They know which streets are busiest, which shops are friendly, which corners attract crowds. Growing up in the Victorian city means learning to navigate a complicated environment from an early age. Awareness becomes important. Attention becomes important. A child must understand how the world works. And so observation becomes another quiet lesson of childhood. Watch carefully. Listen carefully. Learn from experience. As afternoon arrives, sunlight reflects from windows and cobblestones. The city grows warmer. The pace remains steady. Children continue moving through lessons and responsibilities. And here we encounter another important part of Victorian childhood: the concept of duty to others. Victorian society often places great importance on thinking beyond oneself. Children are encouraged to consider family needs, community needs, the needs of younger siblings, the needs of neighbors. Selfishness is generally discouraged. Helping others is praised. A child who assists a struggling family member receives approval. A child who demonstrates kindness receives approval. These values are taught in many ways. Through stories, through religion, through parental example, through everyday life. Children watch adults care for relatives, support neighbors, help friends during difficult times. The lessons become visible through action, not merely through words. As a result, many young people grow up with a strong sense of responsibility toward others. This responsibility can feel heavy at times. Yet it can also create strong communities. Communities where people rely upon one another. Communities where assistance flows between families. Communities where children learn that they are part of something larger than themselves. As the afternoon slowly fades toward evening, fatigue begins settling across the city once again. The long hours of work and study are nearly complete. School children think about home. Workers think about supper. The day is winding down. Yet before the evening fully arrives, let us spend a little time with one of the quieter aspects of Victorian childhood. Dreams. Not sleeping dreams. Future dreams. Even children living under strict routines often imagine what lies ahead. A young apprentice dreams of mastering a trade. A farm child dreams of managing fields and livestock. A student dreams of future accomplishments. A daughter dreams of a home and family of her own. A son dreams of professional success. The details vary greatly. But nearly every child carries hopes into the future. Victorian society encourages ambition of a particular kind. Not ambition focused solely on wealth, but ambition connected to improvement. Becoming more capable, more respectable, more reliable, more useful. Children absorb these ideals and often weave them into their own dreams. Their futures appear distant. Yet every lesson and responsibility seems connected to those future possibilities. The preparation never stops. As evening finally settles across rooftops and fields, families return home. The familiar glow of candlelight appears behind windows. The smell of cooking drifts through neighborhoods. Doors open and close. Voices fill kitchens and dining rooms. The atmosphere softens. The hard edges of the day begin to fade. Children complete final chores. Adults finish final tasks. Everyone moves toward rest. These evening hours often become some of the most peaceful moments in Victorian life. The pressure of work has eased. The next day's responsibilities have not yet begun. Families simply exist together. Sharing food. Sharing conversation. Sharing time. For children, these moments help balance the demands of the larger world. The world expects much. The family provides shelter from those expectations. At least for a little while. As darkness deepens, stories may be told. Books may be read. Simple games may be played. The pace becomes slower, quieter, more reflective. Eventually, bedtime arrives. Candles are extinguished one by one. The house grows silent. Children climb into bed. The blankets feel warm after the cool evening air. Outside, the moon rises higher above the sleeping city. Clouds drift lazily across the sky. The streets empty. The world grows still. And as another Victorian day comes gently to rest, countless children close their eyes carrying with them the lessons, routines, hopes, responsibilities, and relationships that shape their lives. The night settles softly around them. The stars continue shining above the rooftops. And our calm journey through the long and carefully structured world of Victorian childhood moves onward into yet another peaceful night. As the night grows deeper, our journey begins to slow. The streets of Victorian Britain are quiet now. The factory whistles have long since fallen silent. The classroom doors are closed. The market stalls stand empty beneath the moonlight. A gentle mist drifts across rooftops and cobblestones, softening the edges of the world. Inside countless homes, children sleep. The busy days of lessons and chores are finished. The expectations have faded into the darkness. The responsibilities can wait until morning. For now, there is only rest. Throughout our long walk through Victorian childhood, we have wandered beside schoolrooms and workshops, through crowded streets and quiet homes. We have watched children rise early, learn difficult lessons, carry responsibilities, and slowly grow within a world that believed hardship could build character. It was a childhood shaped by routine, by duty, by patience, by effort. Some days were difficult. Some days were warm and comforting. Most were simply ordinary. And it was those ordinary days, repeated again and again, that quietly shaped lives. A child helping beside a kitchen fire. A student tracing careful letters onto a slate. A young apprentice learning a trade one small step at a time. A family gathering around a simple evening meal. These moments may have seemed small at the time. Yet together they formed the fabric of childhood. Now the houses are dark. The candles have burned low. Only a few windows still glow softly against the night. Above them, the stars shine peacefully through drifting clouds. The cool air carries the scent of damp earth and distant smoke. A church clock marks another passing hour. Then silence returns. The children of Victorian Britain sleep beneath blankets and quilts. The workers sleep. The teachers sleep. The shopkeepers sleep. Even the restless city itself seems to be dreaming. Tomorrow will bring another sunrise. Another day of work. Another day of learning. Another day of life. But that morning has not arrived yet. For now, everything rests. The moon moves slowly across the sky. The night grows softer. The world grows quieter. And little by little, our footsteps fade from the cobbled streets. The rooftops disappear into the mist. The church towers become shadows. The sleeping houses drift farther away. Soon there is only darkness. Only stillness. Only the gentle feeling of a peaceful night settling over the land. And somewhere beyond the quiet fields and distant towns, the wind moves softly through the darkness, carrying the last echoes of another day away into the stars. Rest now. The night is calm. The world is still. And beside the fading glow of a Victorian evening, everything slowly, gently, drifts into silence.